Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about The Last Haunt by Max Booth III. And this is from Cemetery Gates Media. Just a little slip of a book. And if you go to the title page, it says The Last Haunt, an oral history of the McKinley Manor Massacre. So this is told as an oral history, and it's the story of the McKinley Manor haunt, and a tragedy that happens, and then a massacre that happens. That's basically your nutshell. I don't know if this would be considered epistolary because that's like letters and diary entries and stuff, whereas this is interviews and it's just like an actual oral history. I recently did a review of the oral history of Star Wars, where it's all just people, what people have had to say in these interviews. Apparently, someone's writing a book about the incident, and so they're interviewing all of these people. Like the neighbor, the across the street neighbor from where the McKinley Manor haunt is located, and a local policeman, and people involved in the haunt. So it's all just a person's name, and then the first time that they're mentioned, it tells us who they are, parenthetically, and then so it has their name, who they are, and then just what they've said. So the too long didn't watch of this is I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really like this book. Now, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Max Booth III. I think he's a fantastic author. Seems to be really just an incredible person. I love talking to him. I love listening to his podcasts, and I try to support his publishing company. He and his wife have the publishing company, which was Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and now it's just Ghoulish. He has a local bookstore in Texas, or a small horror-themed bookstore called Ghoulish in Texas, Selma, Texas, right outside San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. I'd love to visit that store someday. So maybe I'm a little biased, maybe not. Who knows? I can't say, because if I'm biased, would I know it? Anyway, really just a fantastic, quick little read, and it felt to me like I was actually watching a documentary, and just these talking heads. I could picture these talking heads as I was reading it, and you get the feeling that just off camera, just before the footage we're seeing, they were asked a question, and then they're answering that question. They're telling their anecdotes, and it also had this sort of uh, shot on video, sort of gritty feel to it. And maybe I'm being influenced because Max Booth has a new podcast with a co-host whose name I do not recall. I believe it's Miguel somebody. I don't remember his last name. But it's all about shot on video horror movies. And I've been listening to that, so maybe that's influencing how I was imagining this. But it felt like an old gritty documentary. These people talking about what's going on, and when certain people are describing some of the crazy stuff that happens, it just felt like dirty and gritty. Excuse me, to me. And so yeah, the story progresses from basically the across the street neighbor talking about, I remember when the sign for the haunt first went up, and we get through these people a history of the McKinley Manor haunt, and but hints of what's coming. Things like, if I'd known, I would have done this, or I wish I'd known then what I know now, that kind of thing. And then it builds to something, and then after that thing, it really takes off. But It's dirty, it's gritty, it's crazy. It's not incredibly graphic, but there may be some scenes that disturb people. I'm trying to avoid like any plot spoilers at all. Um, I don't know if I need to say anything more than, well, maybe I'll just read the back cover copy. I'm already 5 minutes in, and I'm going to jump to the back cover copy, and you can let me know what you think of that. On the 1 year anniversary of a young woman's tragic death, an extreme haunted house attraction reopened its doors to the public. What happened next would forever traumatize a small Texas town. The Last Haunt is an attempt to make sense of the mysterious brutality that occurred on that fateful Halloween night. Constructed from interviews with the survivors, this oral history is the closest anyone has ever come to documenting the truth behind the McKinley Manor massacre. So hopefully that piques your interest. But it's incredibly well written. Each character has their own voice. For people in the community, there are some little Easter eggs as far as like character names and things. But yeah, I really, really liked this. I'm not sure what else I can say about it. It's The Last Haunt by Max Booth III. 4 out of 5 stars. Really, really enjoyed this. Max hasn't let me down yet. As far as his writing goes, I still have quite a few of his a few of his things that I haven't read yet. But he's all right in my book. So I recommend it. I read it. It's the last thing I read. It's the penultimate thing that I read in October. But it just felt, and I didn't realize at the time that I picked it up off my stack, that it takes place on Halloween. But it seemed like a good end of October kind of book to read. But you can read it anytime. The Last Haunt by Max Booth III. I don't have anything else to say about it, I suppose. Question for this video: do you enjoy haunted attractions? For me, I used to love them when I was younger, and my father was a police officer, and so he was involved, like the police station would be involved in putting on one of the local haunted houses, so we used to go to that every year. I was a churchgoer as a child, and I helped put on, as part of the youth group, we'd put on a little haunted house in the basement of the church for the younger kiddies. And then when I was older, I just enjoyed going with friends. It was something to do. The last time I went to one would have been in the 90s, I believe, with some friends when I was a volunteer for the local blood bank. And I'm trying to remember if they had a blood drive going on at the haunted house, and that's why we went to that particular one. But yeah, I used to love them. I haven't been to one in ages. I don't know if I'm interested in one of these extreme haunted houses where you have to sign a waiver. But I mean, if I had some friends that wanted to go, I would go to a haunted house again. But what about you? Do you like the haunted attractions? Do you have any crazy haunted attraction anecdotes? I don't really, except the one time when we were doing the haunted attraction in the church. There was a group, just a few kids that were walking around, and one of them was trying to be all tough, and he's like, "That's not scary. I can't believe people are. You think that's scary?" And my job, essentially, I had a gorilla mask on, and I would just quietly follow behind the groups as they would go through this little haunted house. And it was basically, you just made a U shape through the basement. And so this kid was being all cocky, saying, nothing was scary, blah, blah, blah. And then they got to the end, and he's like, "That's it." And then I jumped out and roared, and he screamed and ran into the other room. As far as me being scared at haunted houses, I mean, yeah, I was a kid. I was scared when we went through them, but I can't think of anything like super memorable that happened at any. But what about you? Do you enjoy them? Any fun or horrifying anecdotes? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is at Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. If you're on Blue Sky, I am at EL Smith. And that's it. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. Until next time, read more books.